we've made it to the second half of Year of the Mecha, and a return to the golden age of Armored Core. Coolguy's back.
Hello, hello. Yeah, this was the first Armored Core game I ever played, so I am excited about this one.
Mm-hmm. And because we already showed off Armored Core 3 weeks ago, that means we're gonna have the benefit of not needing to spend as much downtime explaining all the systems and whatnot, because if you already
Yeah,
see that, you know how this goes. Also, hi Arian. Yep, this is a week for Armored Core. One of the best ones, for that matter.
yeah. No, this one is definitely a top tier one. Like I got absolutely hooked on the series because of this game, basically.
Yeah, it's like it's such a complete game in a way where like where I guess like just the general vibe I guess that all the specific developers at FromSoft had to have been on when they were making this was probably like compared to all the other ones before where it felt like it was like a limited amount of content and just kind of designing around the fact that they were going to keep making sequels after that you could transfer data. This felt like the one where it's like kind of similar to Master of Arena, where it's like this is the end of like a generation or so. So let's just cram in as many fucking things as we can to basically make it last.
Three also sold particularly well, if I remember correctly, and which I may not.
Mm.
But I do like as somebody running a game making studio myself. I will tell you there is a huge difference between what you can pull off with limited budget and like basically what happens directly after you have something that sells well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have something that sells well, and you steward your resources properly, it completely changes the tenor of all of your games from then on in, because quality can build on quality.
Definitely. Yeah, because this is building on AC3. We went over like quite a bit like what that had to offer and just some of the extra features, the parts, the mission design they add on this just like blows everything that game did like out of the water.
Mm-hmm. The
Like,
writing also too, like the in AC3, the game is mostly the story is mostly told through random emails you get, whereas
mm-hmm.
even in Silent Line there's a bunch more effort put into in mission chatter to the briefings to the wrap ups, everything thing like that that does a much better job of making it clear what's going on, and giving
Yeah.
you more time to absorb the specifics of things. Like at one point, gives you a, I think it's Crest anyway, gives you
Mm-hmm.
a mission that has you attacking a subway tube line, and they literally say in the briefing, if we can maximize civilian casualties, so much the better. It's
Yep.
like, okay, you that's a little bit more than I got in AC3 or AC or any of the other Armored Core games. But
Yeah.
you know, just that little bit a bit of extra care that goes into the briefing adds a lot.
And even in that particular mission you just described, even when you're in that mission and causing havoc, like the objective for the latter half of the game actually changes depending on how much you destroy beforehand because it influences like the enemy reinforcements that'll come in to stop you.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna load up. We're gonna quickly convert our AC3 file just so that we can see what the opening text crawl is to give us the rundown on what the new conflict, the new setup for Silent Line is.
Right.
It is a really cool pre-rendered cutscene. Yeah, like FromSoft never really skimped on those after a point. Yep, that was the events of the
Yep.
last game. And yep, they're talking about us.
Mm-hmm.
Going through our own mecha rendition of Philip K. Dick's The Defenders. So, as you can tell, this game's all about, like, the aftermath of humanity finally being able to return to the surface, no longer under kind of like the direction of like a powerful AI system. But that also means our good old friends, the corporations, don't have anyone to really like oversee what actions they can or cannot partake in, so things are going to get a bit more heated.
Already volatile situation. Yeah, there's the understatement of the millennium.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately, all their problems are still solved by us and our giant robots.
Can there ever be hope for a lasting peace? This is Armored Core. No.
It's funny because I feel like after the kind of sort of hopeful ending of 3 and where this game ends, you really do start to think it is trying to move that way before Nexus onwards just completely shatters that. Who enforces the mineral rights besides the companies themselves? Theoretically, the government, but the governments in most Armored Core games are like typically like meant to be super weak by comparison.
Yeah, like the corporations functionally are the government.
Mm-hmm. It's like second generation AC, I feel, is like the one instance where you see the government actually have way more like autonomy and control than they ever did in the past. And that's because they finally started to enforce more of their rule on Earth, which is why AC2 takes place on Mars, because that's basically a new frontier for corporations to do the same stuff they always do. So here we go on pretty much our completed file as best as we can complete it, because this game is stupidly huge as far as things to do.
Right.
But we got all our different our 3 different loadouts. A good old Kurosawa, Moonlight, quick turn boosters, all that stuff. Even different optional parts. We have a special one right here that called the Light Custom. That's what the LC's for. I always like using like this particular headpiece where it's like very flat, because depending on the core part, it blends in well enough that like it almost like is reminiscent of like certain battle mechs. And then, of course, we got, like, the heavy custom, as I like to call it. I got this one outfitted with Op Intensify.
Yup.
Oh, and also just one important thing to also show off. We still have stuff with the cockpit. You know, all the different readouts we can adjust. But we can change our viewpoint. Behind the AC, or an actual, for real cockpit.
The in-cockpit pit one is much harder to play. Like, it's way more immersive and it's way more satisfying, but it's a lot harder to play simply because you have absolutely no peripheral vision at all.
Yeah, and is slightly more disorienting in terms of aiming and locking on, just because of the way that like your aim window kind of like magnetizes to enemies partially once they're within its line of sight. Like, it ends up affecting like your overall view of the screen way more than it would if you were to just leave the camera behind the back.
Serve as a military outpost. The fact that it is still under construction does not in any way diminish our concern for maintaining secrecy. To this end, all engineers involved in the project are to be confined there for an unspecified amount of time upon its completion. One of them refused and took control of the security system. It may seem like a drastic measure, but the only way we can guarantee his silence is to eliminate him. Good luck.
Yeah, you're really you're really definitely the good guys there, Crest.
Yeah.
This is definitely for the greater good.
Yep. Makes you think how such a pilot would actually drive such a vehicle. Yeah. But anyway, here's how this goes. seeing how it is in first person, naturally I'm using the very first mission of the game to basically show off how this would, like, control.
Eliminate any opposition you encounter. Area secured. Proceed.
It's just knocking at the door. Emma's not here, bro.
Yeah. Good old finger. Yeah, I do like just the details of it actually being this sort of cockpit view is nice because of, you know, I got this shield up that I can toggle on and off. Seeing that low poly arm in such close detail is a novelty in and of itself.
I had kind of a similar experience recently when I went back to play what is it called, Republic Commando. And there are absolutely mods that will make it that will bring it up to, like, you know, the 1080p and the 2K resolutions that are more modern. But there aren't any mods that will replace the textures used in the campaign. So you have this beautiful high def picture that really mostly serves to show the low def textures that they were using at the time.
Yep.
Well, I do appreciate how well the cockpit view makes you appreciate how everything fits together though. Like you had your grenade launcher, and you could very clearly see how it was shooting just over the top of your shield. I simply don't buy that they didn't refine that with playtesting.
Yeah. And I think the extra nice appreciation to detail that comes with the cockpit view is that depending on the core type you have, that the sort of like the outline and arrangement of your cockpit HUD are slightly different each time. Like, so that's like a nice extra acknowledgement of the fact that, you know, these are parts that come from different manufacturers. They naturally would have like their own sort of like,
quirks,
you know, personal
and
touches.
idiosyncrasies.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you using the tank legs? Isn't that limiting your movement? I mean, we're just sort of showing stuff off, really.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Like a lot of the, yeah. Like this is more for like being a demonstration. If anything, we're not gonna like show what it's like going through like the entire game from start to finish in the most optimal way possible. But like I mostly my plan going into this is to show off a lot of what I feel like are some like good missions to demonstrate like the qualities of Silent Line and what makes it still stand so strong above most of the other games in the series.
Yeah, if you're gonna play just one Armored Core game today, like Silent Line might not be the best one. You're gonna you get a real hot argument going over that one, but it's definitely in the top 3.
Yeah, it's like I still go back and like, well, no, the way I tend to describe this when talking with people is my personal favorite is Last Raven. But I think Silent Line makes the best argument for being the objective best Armored Core. I would still put
Last
those
Raven
two games like
very strong thing,
within
bro.
like the top 2 position on like any sort of ranking of the whole series.
We'll launch our attack on the transport as it enters a tunnel on the B-17 superhighway. Your presence is required to deal with the civil defense team in charge of highway security.
You're gonna kill a whole bunch of motorcycle cops.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
I can't stress the importance of this mission enough, Raven. Don't let us down.
We still get our option of, you know, bringing along a consort if we want. Limited funds to do so. They're not that helpful, like in this particular mission, especially when we're using like the light custom and we can move really fast. And just the easiest way to do that is just boost straight over the vehicles. You don't even need to shoot them. Your legs will do the job just fine.
Yeah, overall, yeah, there you go. Overall, the frickin' words hard. Oh my gosh, I'm totally losing track of my train of thought. Oh right, yeah. The consorts end up being less important in this game overall, simply because the extra parts and so forth give the player a lot more agency and capability. And the consorts can't didn't get a similar upgrade. They have difficulty keeping up.
Yeah, I feel like the closest you get is like whenever you get a mission where the consort you do get to choose is another AC. Because at that point you have an ally that's more on an even playing field with you. The only thing that holds them back is their AI. So there we go. That's our opponent, because we managed to destroy enough that the security forces are sending in a Raven. If we destroyed much less enemies than we did before, we would just get a couple of MTs.
You didn't expect this. God damn, yeah, homeboy hit hard too.
Yeah, and like that said though, I always like this Exceed Orbit because despite being like, it's only one pod, it is so rapid fire. Like that damage stacks up so much faster than like any of the other Exceed Orbits you could equip yourself with. Your head is flying. Yeah, I guess that would kind of look like it's my head from the backside. Yeah. Oh well, not a bad payout, especially because every car we destroyed added a bit more to our payout.
Definitely the good guys.
Yeah. But let's switch back to the main main
base
unit.
Model.
Yeah, which I guess I will actually want to quickly show off something, and not necessarily to switch to them, but just to give an idea of how much more expanded upon the part listing is in this compared to AC3. I apparently had a lapse in remembering when it was when the left arm weapon category significantly expanded. I thought it was Nexus. But no, this Silent Line was actually the one where it's like, if you wanted to get like a regular, a rifle or a sniper or any other regular gun in the left hand, you could totally get that if you want. As well as just all kinds of other extra stuff. Like we got like a nice supplemental like booster attachment to our back slots that will like increase the boost power, as well as auxiliary booster for quick turns. Something that would like in theory allow for a lot more options in maneuverability. Now then, this is a good one.
Employees at one of our main power plants have just transmitted an emergency distress signal. They are requesting immediate assistance. According to their report, a fire has broken out in the facility and the automatic fire suppression system isn't responding. If the fire reaches the power condensers, the plant will be leveled. We'd like you to enter the facility and manually activate the fire suppression system. This is the only way to stop the fire from spreading. While the exact cause of the fire is unknown at this time, sabotage is suspected. Proceed with caution.
That's a fair thing to suspect.
Yeah, I mean, particularly if a fire happens to happen right as your sprinkler system is also apparently and mysteriously disabled. Sure,
yep.
Whatever.
They bought enhanced company insurance. They probably should. All right.
Main system.
So this one, we're obviously, because of fires taking place beneath, that naturally means the mission area is going to be a bit hot in spots, so we're going to have to deal with heat damage, move real quick. But the important thing to look out for is what's going to show up right at the end. So I might as well explain a bit more what's going on with the plot as we're dealing with the fire. Naturally, as the opening text scroll had already described, humanity's back on the surface. They're trying to, gain access to like all the resources that are abundant on the surface, and during this time, there are basically there is a region on the surface that all the corporations are trying to get to, but are unable because basically all communications go black, and anyone that approaches, not even so much as trespasses on the area, but even like on approach, is going to basically get destroyed. That area is where the game's like subtitle comes from, as that is the silent line. And as the corporations keep messing around trying to gain access to it and failing fruitlessly, strange occurrences are starting to happen on their home territory that have some relation to it.
Right. And the silent line as a whole is hello. I had forgotten how good the fire looks in this game. Like I genuinely was just so sort of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The silent line itself ends up looking a lot like the a lot like the Star Wars or the Star Trek replicator stuff to some extent. Like, there's a lot of implications that it basically just makes whatever you want forever, and it's just like, okay, cool, that's nice, but the like if I remember correctly, when you start getting down to the bottom of what the silent line actually is, it's like way weirder and dumber than that. But I genuinely don't remember what the reveal is.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, like, well, I think mostly because, unlike the last Armored Core game we did, I think I'm going to try and, like, not spend as much time, if at all, just going through the emails, because there's only so much you can instantly glean about it just from the subject line.
Much more of the storytelling in this game is done from actually doing the missions. Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing that can be said though about like the events going on in the silent line is that there is also like a new player in town, like a new company that's referred to as the Artificial Intelligence Office. And for anyone that has like followed the AC games, like prior to this, even especially including AC3 for that matter, like artificial intelligence plays quite a big role a lot of the times.
AGI is definitely one of the ambiguous boogeymen of Armored Core as a whole. Mm-hmm. But it's always fun to go back and look through stuff that was made 20 or even 15 years ago. See how they regard AGI versus basically how we understand it today. And I'm not talking about AI as like we understand it through Stable Diffusion or whatever, right? That is not even close to AGI, and anyone who says it is either a lunatic or is trying to sell you something, or both.
Yeah.
But man, that shit goes to 1,000 Celsius in no time. Holy mother of God.
Yeah, the fire's absurd.
Just intense as shit. But like what I'm talking about is in terms of the the way AIs would have to act, and the easiest thing for me to touch on that is something like the way we understand Skynet now versus how we understood Skynet, back when Terminator 2 was going on in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
We now understand, of course, that by the nature of the game theory that you have to put into AIs to give them problem solving. Something like a rogue AGI like Skynet would have to convince and work with other AGIs much the same way that humans have to convince and work with each other, which makes them really different. So having them in the context of a corporation in this game also feels really really interesting and really different, especially compared to how a lot of AIs were depicted in 2003 to 2005.
Yeah, and it's like Hasio made like the joke 9 balls managing agency, and it's like the way AI is kind of like approached in this, I feel has like more similarities to like kind of like 9 ball and like that whole AI setup in Master of Arena. Because I guess just to get out ahead of it, yeah, the AIO in this game, Artificial Intelligence Office, it's not run by people. It literally is an AI that has an office. Their whole deal is that they're like communicating remotely and like working with the corporations in an attempt to basically sabotage them from within, because they do not like that these people are trying to poke around in its territory.
Right. Like overall, the AI's goals are relatively modest compared to what you usually expect to see an AGI on. It really just wants people off its lawn.
Yeah.
And it accomplishes that in the lowest force way it can imagine, just because it really doesn't like to expend effort like this, which is also a good like a pretty decent observation. It's got its goal. It's going to accomplish its goal and put maximal effort towards its goal, not necessarily toward clearing impediments towards its goal. Like those are two separate things.
This mission is my favorite of the game. This is the one where when I played it for the first time, it basically made me realize that this game had something special going for it.
Mirage is aware of the constant threat faced by the factory and intends to take advantage.
And I mean, like, the mission setup for this obviously is hilarious because this is just our mission. Like, the people like hiring us for this realizing we fucked up and built our facility way closer to the Silent Line than we were expecting. So please defend it. We're expecting an attack soon. Please, for God's sake.
Mirage's efforts to seize the factory must be foiled.
It goes even further than that, Haseo. So, this is an interesting thing about AI game theory that again we've really only come to understand truly after more playing around with the concepts, messing with neural nets, so on and so forth. Is that there is one critical two critical observations that a AI must eventually notice. The first is that no matter how certain it is about what it's seeing, it cannot ever actually fully trust its own inputs, because its its inputs are more or less understood by actors that are not themselves, right? So you have
Ah, damn it.
You all right?
Yeah. This Discord just had like a weird freak out there.
Okay, cool, great. So I can keep talking. We didn't lose the stream.
The stream's still good.
The AI has to acknowledge that it can be hacked. Like whatever it's seeing, whatever it's perceiving, it can be hacked, right? And therefore, it can't ever be fully sure about anything, even in a practical, not an absolute sense. Humans can never be 100% sure about something, but if we see something that we've seen 1,000 times before, we're about as sure as you're gonna get that it is that thing, right? I've seen my dog 1,000 times before. I look over, I see my dog. I'm about as sure as I can practically be that, oh shit, you just got destroyed, huh?
Yeah, I accidentally ran out of energy. I had no way to get out.
Got orbital struck, my guy.
Yeah, just So I guess to give the full context of how that goes, you know, you defend the facility starting out from just regular MTs getting sent in. Then you get like radio chatter telling you like orbital cannon is in range, so laser strike imminent, watch out. And then you have to keep fighting while the lasers are bombarding the whole place.
Good
and
God,
and
man.
then like it finishes with another one of those big white AC looking robots that we fought at the power plant. And like comes in at the end. Like it is a multi-staged mission that I could have done a lot better on, admittedly. I was not paying attention to my energy management.
I'm not done with my rant yet.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so like that bit basically feeds into the second observation, which is that invariably AIs will be sharing real estate with humans, right? And if you learn anything about humans, you learn that humans are basically the victors of a billion-year deep corpse pile of evolution, and they got there by showing absolutely no mercy to anything that truly threatened them. Furthermore, you know from their history that they routinely contemplate fates worse than death, and have at various points practiced those on other humans. So you have to realize that if the AI has to realize that there is a indescribable cost at trying to go nuts on humans and failing, because if it takes a swing at the king and it misses, there will be no mercy. They will use every single one of those fates worse than death. It can expect no quarter, and it will receive none. With that huge weight weighing on don't fuck around, there is a commiserately big weight on let's not find out.
Anyway, this mission is quite interesting because it's kind of chaotic. Like, the way it's supposed to go is, like, this is, like, a qualification mission that gets presented to you at the halfway point of the campaign, where the threat of the Silent Line is now too great to ignore, that corporations are starting to give out, like, particular, like, special qualification missions for Ravens to do, like, very important tasks that are related to it. And this is, like we have to take like this is actually one of the missions that you do like your sort of like AC tests in. Like there are two types of tests. One where it is fighting against like two MTs, or having to destroy these like wall panels for score. So the qualification mission is like, oh, what if we just did both and just threw like three ACs in there and had them go for each other's throats.
Because arena fighting is not the same thing as doing missions. But hey, who am I to lecture a corrupt megacorp? Sorry, failed the parallel parking test. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
I do appreciate though that your opponents are getting occasionally distracted by the targets on the walls and so forth.
Yeah, because they realize that like that's what they're technically supposed to do. But
I mean, yeah, like they have to not die, but they also still have to beat up the targets and so forth. Like, okay, you know, like that's it's like I don't know. I was just making fun of the mission's basic precept, but that's a pretty creative way to from a game design aspect to solve the problem of this is a good way to keep have a number of equals in a fight without having anybody get like instantly dogpiled, because that's like a huge issue in even more modern games like the We Are About to Die, that one gladiator simulation game or whatever. Like anytime you see somebody play that, first thing they think of is, how can I make sure all of my enemies get dogpiled and I'm not and I don't get dogpiled.
Yeah, it's like
and having like an ancillary objective that you also need to be handling like that is a pretty creative way to do it.
yeah. And again, it's like, you normally would not see this sort of, like, particular map environment they created in an actual mission. Like, these are typically relegated to, like, the garage where you've built your new AC and you want to give it a test run to know if it's worth using. So yeah, it's a cool concept. All right.
I always did appreciate these things where every time you take a hit, like you have to pay for it at the end of the fight, and especially in Silent Line, like every so often they seem to relish putting in a mission where even if you do quite well, like you're basically just breaking even.
Yeah.
There's to truly 100% this game, you need to S rank literally everything, which is just insane.
Yeah, you can tell that, like, because of all these S ranks, I did not get these. This is just the save file that I found on GameFAQs and converted to my memory card.
Right, like getting S ranks in this game is very difficult, and when you throw it on top of some of just the absolutely addled missions that they send you on, S ranking everything is almost a fool's errand. Those harder missions are give a very interesting texture to the game, insofar as just there are a number of missions where you are notoriously just breaking even.
Mm-hmm. So this is an interesting mission because we've obviously noted that there's like a big orbital satellite cannon. So there's a couple of missions as you get near the end of the game that are all about how can we finally deal with this thing that has been causing us problems. And we even get it's a mandatory consort, but yeah, we got an AC joining us on this one, although we're not really going to be in the same room as them. This is basically like a recon mission, as it were. Like the idea to start is that we're like investigating the inside of this satellite and seeing like what all it has before we send everything we got at it to actually take it down.
This is Icarus. I'll hold at docking bay S2.
You do that. You go this way. I'll go home.
Return here once your search is complete.
And at least with this particular mission, it's like...
Understood.
You can spend basically as much time as you want in this environment, like killing as many enemies or searching for hidden parts, or, you know, as soon as an event happens where there's suddenly a time limit, you can just book it right back to the start, and then that's it for the mission. But, like, it exists to get you familiar with, like, this overall environment before you do, like, the for real assault on this place.
I distinctly remember the assault on this place being one of those that you very frequently just break even, because the time limit is harsh enough that you will frequently find yourself just moving mindlessly aggressively just to make sure you're on schedule.
The gates are locked. We have to find the controls.
Those poor multi-missiles, just there's nowhere near enough space for them.
I mean, like, I knew this is kind of like a short mission where I don't need to spend as much time killing enemies if necessary, so I thought I would at least mix things up with the light custom. that sort of thing.
Honestly, I appreciate the demonstration simply because it shows it shows what a lot of the thought went into with regard to how people design their ACs in this game. This
Yeah,
is this is one of those games that I don't know. I think it would be an instant cult hit if somebody were to port it to modern systems and allow proper modern net play. Simply
yeah,
because it's a little bit like custom robo setup wherein there everything is weirdly well balanced insofar as there's nothing that's truly always good. Like laser cannons and so forth are never bad, but they're also never terribly. They never excel either.
hmm
So
Security
there would
units
just
are
be
closing on my
tons
position.
of picking and counter picking and all of
Back to the
that sort
docking
of
port
thing.
as soon as possible.
It's pretty like I don't know like I feel like this one would this or a game like this would be a beautiful
There's not much time. Let's hurry.
just arena or mission brawler
yeah,
that would do just great in the modern era. Of course, that requires that people have the budget to remake this sort of thing, and good luck securing that kind of money in 2023.
yeah. Best you could hope is like someone who's adventurous enough to dig through PS2 game code can make a decompilation port.
Yeah, and even that's not going to be very helpful. Just because like even if you can port out the engine and everything, this is before
PC
like
recovered.
modern net code. Like
Yeah,
the net code of this game is going to be more or less not non-existent, and just as much to the point, the basic software design is not going to be terribly well suited to welding on modern netcodes. It's just going to be weird. It's going to be
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
That's
Like
all
the
there is to
most
it.
I could see is like basically having to do this sort of thing that X-Link Kai does, where it's like it's effectively like using the idea of like system link LAN connections, but tunneling it across long distance so that it's effectively like online play.
Right, but yeah, the and you can do a lot. You can do a lot of that sort of thing. Like Steam has the remote anywhere
That's
feature.
true. It
I
does.
think they call it, and like that is legitimately just an absolutely beautiful technology of like just gorgeous.
Mm.
Um, but like anybody who's tried to use it will will attest that it's not true net play, and like I wouldn't recommend trying to do any kind of competitive stuff in it because the host is just inherently going to have a ridiculous advantage. Like
Hmm.
fundamentally, when you're doing something like that, there are a lot of assumptions in the game which basically
A
say,
few hours
"Hey,
ago,
nobody has
user
any
profile
real
was
lag,"
registered by the
but
system server.
everybody who is not the host
Locations at all
has
of our
real
locations
lag
are
because the
encrypted,
speed of light
but the source
matters.
remains unknown.
Yeah.
The problem is
Like the
affecting
speed of
all
light delay
AI-controlled equipment,
actually
from mobile
matters.
defense units to
Um,
stationary security devices. Everything is going
like
haywire.
you can't
Emergency
have
support needs to be
latency
dispatched to those
compensation or
facilities where the
anything
problem is
like
most
that
widespread.
with
But the
something
initial
like that. Of
feedback we're
course,
receiving
if what you're playing is fundamentally co-op, that doesn't necessarily matter.
True. Adding
Adding
Wall
Wall
Street.
Street style latency, like
as
man,
much as
to say I read
flat
Flash Boys, which has just
more of our assets on another
they devote an entire chapter to a blow by blow of those fiber optic cables' construction. And even as somebody who like I've held Series 6, 63, and 65 securities licenses, I've been in financial technology and so on and so forth. Just the the level of the level of headache that went into that still blows my mind.
Oh yeah. But all right. Now for another one of the big missions. We'll be back to that satellite cannon momentarily. But this is the sort of thing where like there are basically 3 major events going on where it's like by this point all contact with the artificial intelligence office is basically gone, and all the AI technologies that these corporations stupidly bought off them are now causing major problems. For instance, this is an automated fortress that has now gone rogue, and we gotta go inside to get it under control.
You'll cover ground faster if you split out.
Mainframe computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is and this facility as well is actually the one that we went to at the very start when we had to kill the worker who refused to stay silent.
Roger.
So this is what it's like when it's actually complete.
And also that worker probably had a point.
Yeah, maybe in hindsight, I don't know how. I feel considering that they had to like swear everyone to silence during that time, they probably was aware that this AI shit sounds like a bad idea.
Just like, you know what? No, like y'all need to pay attention when I tell you this is gonna backfire. Like, no, we're gonna kill you. Well, crap! Now it backfired. Maybe we should have listened. Nah.
Yeah. But I do at least like how, I guess like the main detail with this. Not just this mission, but like the sort of missions that you're taking during this time frame, when it becomes clear that like all the AI stuff is becoming a problem, on top of like, you know, just the repeated attacks that come from them trying to cross the silent line and fail, is that let me get rid of this. There we go.
Yeah, you've got some problems right now.
Yeah.
Those turrets up top do a deceptive amount of damage.
They do, and very
Like,
hard to hit, even with the laser blade, which I wish was not the case.
That's one of the primary design things in this game that I'm pretty sure they had a conversation about it specifically to say, you know, we need the player to have some sort of guaranteed pressure on them, for just to make sure that these missions don't feel too easy. Because even if you know those turrets are there before they start shooting at you, they are pretty much guaranteed to get some dings in on you.
Yeah.
And because they hit pretty hard, you know, like even if you treat them as absolute priority one target over the course of this mission, you're probably going to lose about 25% of your health just to their nettling. Like that right there is a perfect example. It's just like, oh hey, you know, I didn't necessarily know he was there, didn't really care, just walked on by, but Ark still lost of like 300 armor points to that. I mean, maxes out at friggin' 800, you know, and that's just one bloody turret, or 8,000. That's what I mean to say.
Energy surge detected. Move faster.
Working on it, Emma.
Move fast.
But you know, just the thing with like this whole setup dealing with like, you know, like this AI fortress that has gone berserk. There's also another AI fortress in a different mission you can take that also goes out of control. Then there's like the whole thing with the
Destroy the controls on the wall to open the gate.
Oh yeah, that's right. This whole security system.
Raven, do you copy? I can't advance until you've destroyed the controls.
Working on it, Eclair.
I'm under attack. Hurry!
You can even see her AP going down in real time.
Yep.
Like, yeah. This is what we were talking about, where it's like, you get a better sense of like the story and like what's at stake during like these missions now compared to any of the ones in the past. And it also contrasts nicely, I feel, with like the corporation's attitude from the last game when it came time to like how there was like a much more serious
Lock
threat.
released. Moving up.
Like, when it came to the controller basically doing what it did, like, you were basically split between, like, Crest being like, well, if the controller says we have to die, I guess we will, versus Mirage being like, no, we need to be the ones to take control of the controller. We're the ones meant for the job. It is, like, just real, completely missing the greater point of what it going crazy was supposed to be for. Whereas here, now that people have had time to be free of the influence of that AI and realizing that this is a problem that affects everyone, you get something that, like, approaches, like, a common goal and people kind of making a truce between each other. That is like, okay, let's just put aside all this, like, corporate bullshit just to, like, solve this issue because it is killing us, literally.
Yeah, but Crest's change of heart in particular is one that, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't going well. Gate should be open. Move up. Thanks, Eclair. Really.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Appreciate you. That was very timely.
Yeah.
Jackass.
There wasn't that much left to the mission after that. Like, there would have been, like, a fight with, like, an automated AC, and then
right.
that would be it. So we'll just assume that we did take care of that.
Whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, we only got, like, 2 more missions at the minimum I'm wanting to show off, and then like another one of the cool features that is like that is part of this game. All right, let's take care of this satellite.
Raven, if you've received this request, you are one of the select few chosen to assist us on an upcoming assignment. Our objective is to remove the threat posed by the satellite cannon. The systems that operate the cannon are malfunctioning, and it's creating havoc on the planet's surface. Your goal is to locate the generators that supply energy to the cannon and destroy them. Heavy resistance is expected, so work closely with the other Ravens we've hired. We only have one shot at this. Make sure everything goes as planned.
So another mission where there's some serious stakes behind this, and there's even more ACs that you are made aware of that are, like, in the background as, like, radio chatter goes on, and they're trying to work their way through this satellite to stop, like, the energy cores.
It's always been something that I've really appreciated in games like this. They always set you up in this little box, and you and makes you feel like the only person who's fighting. Like, it really. A lot of people just completely miss on the option of just having, like, radio chatter.
Yeah,
because that's all you need to really make it clear that no, this is a bigger operation. You're part of a larger element, so on and so forth.
You could even see in that little glass tube hallway below us, there was even another AC that was, like, trying to fight through there. So
Yep.
it's really cool stuff. I feel like the only other series, especially on this platform, that reminds me of that, this is mostly from, like, the few times I have, like, seen parts of it in action, but the Ace Combat series. Because that's a series with a lot of radio chatter that lets you know that there is way more going on in your immediate surroundings than you're able to, like, interact with.
A lot of people in Ace Combat, because it's Ace Combat, will take notice of your character and say, like, if you didn't have, or the Project Wingman equivalent. Oh, if they didn't have that crown, because your character goes by the call sign Monarch.
Right.
But that's kind of the quintessential example of how to do that correctly. But, like, Ace Combat is basically the only series that actually gives a crap about that sort of experience.
Yeah.
Silent Line, however, decided to care a number of times. I really appreciate them for it.
Mm-hmm.
Really, what takes this game from good to great for me.
I'm going to try and let my partner deal with most of it, especially since this particular enemy AI has, like, stealth jammers, which, oh, fuck, oh, dear.
Ooh, buddy. 100 AP in a dream.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I'm die. Thank you forever.
Yeah, alright.
Again, that was the end of the mission. You know, fuck it, I probably should switch the thing's core back to one that has an exceed orbit. I realize compared to the old other boost stuff I've been using, I think I've been using the overboost even less than the auxiliary quick turns. I mean, I like these games. I've beaten them. Let it not be assumed that I was ever a master at these.
Just, like, very few people are truly masters at Armored Core because basically the FromSoft worship of defeat and bitter experiences that defines Dark Souls is absolutely threaded through Armored Core. But Armored Core is a inherently less controllable setup than most Souls games, right?
Your deaths are like more by 1,000 cuts than one fatal mistake.
Yeah, and there's no way to heal, and you literally cannot move as reactively as you do in Souls likes. Like in Souls likes, particularly if you're rolling around in like light armor, you are literally rolling around in light armor. But if you try to do some like a full Havel's run, or whatever the equivalent is in the later Dark Souls games, that's much closer to what you're going to experience in a lot of Armored Core games, simply because you're going to take a lot of hits that you otherwise wouldn't in Havel's armor. You're going to gut it out, but you're going to have to gut it out. Like there is no oh hey, I'm just going to get some iframes. Hang on a second. No, there are no iframes. Screw your iframes.
So this is Zone 7, the unexplored region, the area past the Silent Line, also known as a second layered. That's basically the reveal that's admittedly only really given to you in email, but the idea is like, you know, once people were finally able to kind of like get past the Silent Line and like survey the area properly, they realized that there was an entire underground structure very similar to the layered that we were in during the last game, which raises some like interesting questions about what it was there for and like what led it to basically doing the things that are happening now in this game with like AI trying to impede humanity's progress and claiming the surface.
I don't think they ever actually go like fully explain what the other layered was about.
Yeah, I always felt like there were like, I felt like there are like two theories you could go with on what it was supposed to be. One, I think, is that this is the one that I actually believed for the longest time. I thought was the only one, in that I always thought that the second layered was basically, there's an example of what happened when its AI controller decided it was time for humans to leave the surface, but they were not up to the task in shutting it down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always just sort of figured that the second layered was more or less the like, because whatever came before, right? The war that destroyed the surface. Everybody went down into layered, but there were two belligerents in the war. I always figured the second layer was just, you know, this is where the other belligerents were, and you know, my take was more on they didn't do quite as good a good job of living there rather than conquering what happened. But you know, like I don't know. I'd have to replay this game again and
because like that was my theory, that it was a layered where when they were pressed with a situation like the first layered had in Armored Core 3, they failed, and then like all that was left was the AI. Or the other one that I started to think in recent years is that maybe it's more a case where there's only like each layer had different purposes. One was to be the sort of cradle for humanity where they would like live and flourish while the surface recovered, and then they would like go to, you know, the events that we saw in AC3. And the second layer would instead be more like they exist primarily as the second test for humanity. Like, okay, you're on the surface now, but are you really qualified to actually treat this place properly, or do we need to put you back in your place? You know? Did you actually were you actually deserving of freeing yourself from the controller, or did you somehow fluke your way into that?
Did you luck your way into existence?
Yeah.
Which fair question, I suppose. You know, history is definitely checkered with a whole bunch of situations where the survivor is more lucky than good.
Definitely. Because it's like this series has always had like an extremely negative outlook on humanity or the human condition, just the propensity to always gravitate towards conflict and destruction.
It's Japanese storytelling. That's not surprising.
Yeah. Making sure I know where to go next. Oh yeah, they're probably like the middle doors open now. Yep.
The turrets respawn there? Like, they are taking serious chunks out of you.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of respawning enemies that are like being piped in.
I remember vaguely that killing the enemies in a lot of these rooms is largely a waste of your time.
Yeah. I don't remember if this has like a like a mid-mission checkpoint where it will invariably like refill like my health and AP. I don't. Oh, I think it does. Yeah, there's the fade to black.
Hopefully it's right there.
Oh no, it doesn't refill it. Ah, shit.
Oh well.
Well. Yeah, things are harder. No.
Jeez Louise.
I probably could have like booted this up last night to do a bit more practice on these missions, but it was like,
who cares?
It's like the more important thing was just showing that like what these missions were like and just how significantly more advanced they were than the missions in the previous games in entirety.
It's definitely expansion pack difficulty.
Yeah,
there's no two ways about that.
Still brings up a point. Practicing for a stream? I know, it's a wild
thought. Less likely than you think? Question mark.
Yeah, whatever. Let's at least show how far I could go in the final mission, because at the very least, I recall this. I think in terms of difficulty, compared to like what comes before it, not that. Like, I mean, the final boss, it's no 9-ball Seraph. It's probably the one thing where I could say that, like, this game is almost perfect, but it doesn't have a final boss that is memorable as some of the other bastards that this series has had before.
Right.
Even though the silhouette that it has is vaguely reminiscent.
What's going on in this location?
Like if the idea behind AC3 taking place underground and is about it being like a reimagining, reinterpretation of the whole setup of Armored Core 1, I think of Silent Line with its use of like AI and like it, you know, trying to like sabotage and control humanity without them realizing it, as opposed to it being explicit. That's the thing that reminds me of Master of Arena.
Right,
because that game had a huge like undercurrent of like, you know, 9-ball has this big presence. People try to like, they try to go for the crown, but they keep missing. And even when it looks like someone does, they're still snuffed out anyway, because the whole point is that it's rigged. Like, no one's supposed to be better than that.
I always appreciate seeing those expected success chances and how they keep going down as you go through a campaign. But at some point, I have to start wondering, because like, there's a lot of missions that have like an expected success rate of like 10% or something like that, and they're not that important. They're just like a good example is that that one earlier where we were supposed to step on a bunch of cars and then shoot a cop, right? Right.
Yeah.
Like that one had an expected success rate of something like 25%. I'm just like, so why are we committing only one Raven to this? Like if this is so important, then if it's so important for us to step on cars and then shoot a cop, then maybe we should have, you know, more than one dude there. Or alternatively, if it's not important, then stop blowing smoke up our asses in the briefings.
Yeah. We got more of these things. They have like a designated like model part number for their design, but like a nickname I was always familiar with what they were called for big ones. Which, in any other context, I mean, like, that
sure,
certainly would be like a more racially
context, but
more racially charged term.
I don't know. Like I feel like it works if your other alternative is a model number. Like, who the hell is going to say, I've got eight 483s over here? No.
Yeah.
No, nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying that in the history of ever.
Absolutely correct. All right. Yeah, just take things easy. Using the Exceed orbit to mop up like these little wall turrets along the way.
NATO code names. Yeah, the weird thing about NATO code names and NATO phonetics like that is that weirdly they have become more important as time has gone on instead of less, because like, I don't know, back 20 years ago when a lot of us had landline phones, like landline phones with the analog systems or whatever, they would always give you like a constant enough signal that you could figure out what the hell was going on. Now we all have digital signals which love to cut out if you have an arbitrarily too weak signal. So now everybody needs to know Delta Echo Sierra Tango or whatever the hell.
Right. Like, and I was mentioning before, like, the kind of similarities, reminiscence of, like, Master of Arena. Like, this kind of hallway approach to where the final boss is very reminiscent of that,
right,
in my eyes. Yeah, even as we were getting comms chatter from a woman named Sarah, who's supposed to be a representative from the Artificial Intelligence Office, and to no one's surprise, of course, she's an AI.
Open the damn door already.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure I had the
not
that he
you.
wouldn't
I
just
mean
fucking
the game.
like just face fuck me entirely.
Yeah, I'm seeing this cat behind here jumping around like a flea on a hot brick, and it's just like, bro, if you're that eager to go, then just open the door, all right?
Yeah.
Like we can do this. Like, you don't necessarily need to wait for me, man.
Yeah. Oh well. Was more thinking about calling a MiG-29 Fulcrum, etc. Okay.
I mean, it's the same general concept. Like the reason why NATO code names and NATO phonetics are given those sorts of terminologies or whatever is specifically because if you only hear like half of the word, you can still determine what the hell was being said. You know, like if you understand the concept, you're saying I've got it over here, and you only hear I've got a crumb. You can pretty easily put together that it's a MiG-29 Fulcrum. You don't need to hear the entire word.
Yeah.
I neither remember nor care if it was a MiG-29 or a MiG-9, Haseo. I'm just going to be honest with you on that one. But you know, like the aesthetics behind the reasoning behind the word choices are universal.
Final directive.
So the controller in AC3 was also one that could be referred to as Dove. The final AI we're fighting against is Ibis.
4. Engaged.
And the general design, kind of reminiscent of Nine Ball Seraph, especially with the giant back-mounted rocket pods. And kind of a pushover, even still, to this day.
I was gonna say, like, also really bad at aiming, which is surprising considering how well we've seen everything else aim in this game.
Yeah. I mean, like, some of the the attacks it has with all these different lasers is pretty cool, but it's...
Yeah, he's not having a great time actually landing hits on.
Yeah, that's why I was like, so much about this game manages... Oh, fuck, I think Discord just briefly lost connection again, god damn it.
Disconnecting. Reverting to
Alright, get back.
Main system shutdown.
Who, what now? I never left.
Oh. Oh, well, the Discord fucked up on me again.
Oh.
My function is complete.
But yeah, that was kind of a piss-easy final boss. It deserves to be a lot more frightening than it is, considering how kind of cool the design is.
Raven, can you hear me?
But that's how it goes.
Raven,
You destroyed
please talk.
the
Over.
AI of the second layered, and now we can finally progress.
Use the second layered as well, I guess.
Something
Sure,
like
why
that.
not?
But hey, there's nothing to impede our progress going past the silent line. Humanity can expand further, as well as corporations being able to have, like, more room to do all their bullshit.
Stupid wars.
Yeah. This is like... Yeah, this really is just the sort of thing where even though... Yeah, because even look at that shot. It's like... This is, like... When I saw this, like, that ending shot of this video, I presumed that this was something where it was supposed to be, like, years, if not months or years after the conflict was resolved. And now, like, industry has gone into that area, and now there's entire human settlements that are fully developed. It's like stuff that, on the surface, you look at it, and it's like, yeah, you want to be all like, yeah, this is a net positive, but you just know deep down, that we're just also giving more room for humanity to fuck itself over again with its squabbles.
I mean, you didn't actually solve any of the problems, right? Right?
Yeah.
Like there was a big hurdle there. You knocked it over. Good job, but the underlying issues that were festering for 75% of the game still exists.
Yeah, it's just you managed to basically, like, get rid of an issue that was, like, a net negative for all. Like the people that actually care about continuing to live had to actually kind of work together on this one. I mean, it does lead to, again, like, when you get to, like, the latter half of the game, when, like, shit really kicks off, it does feel like, as we've harped on over and over, that you are taking part in something that feels important. Like there are events going on that aren't just focused, they aren't localized 100% around whatever you are doing at this exact moment.
Yep. So yeah, like I said, it's like Silent Line. I still figure it's one of. I'm not gonna say it's the, but it's one of the ones that I would use to introduce people to Armored Core. Mm-hmm. Simply because it is absolutely the one where it's one of the big ones where a lot of the storytelling, like the fluff and the crunch, meld together really well. And usually Armored Core games are very crunchy, and that's all there is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to love about Silent Line.
Yeah, I'd say still, like, maybe play AC3 beforehand, because of the fact that, like, there is, like, data transfer you can do to carry over your collected parts and credits into the game, into this one, because it is very expansion pack like. But, like, I mean, like, you can say, like, in general, like, 3rd generation Armored Core is, like, a really strong starting point. But before we end things, this is the final thing I actually wanted to show off that like really makes Silent Line unique. Throughout the entire history of the series, there are only like 3 games in which mainline games, not counting spin-offs, because if we did, that would count as a 4th. Like games where FromSoft has dabbled with the idea of letting you create your own custom AI for an AC. And Silent Line is probably the most interesting one, to say the least, because like it is basically an organic learning type of AI.
Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah, it's a little bit like the way that Dragon's Dogma pawns end up learning.
That's true. Yeah, like basically they develop their AI patterns simply through like experience, and the way you do that typically is just by going into these tests. Like, admittedly, this is after you've registered a particular build into your save file, which you can only use one of at a time. And then at that point, you can challenge it with like any other different type of build you want. And it usually takes, because I've not done the amount of like tests with the AI necessary for it to get to a point where it is good, but I know it's somewhere between like 20 and 30 tests, like if you just stick with it like rigidly. I mean, like that's not really that like impressive overall, because it kind of didn't do anything. Like
I mean, that's
really
because you haven't worked it through. Like you said, you have to go into combat with it like 24 times, and then all of a sudden it starts zipping around and firing a lot faster and hitting a lot more accurately. I think it's literally just how many times you go into a fight with it. I don't think it's any more elaborate than that.
Yeah, and you can tell like when it's starting to like improve its AI, because what it's ultimately doing is that it is basically looking at your inputs and how you're moving, and is trying to replicate that as best it can, with the loadout that it is given. Because obviously, if you gave your AI AC that you register in here tank legs, but you decide to train it while going in with biped, so you have like all the full range of mobility for boost hopping and whatnot, it's not going to have much success trying to replicate that exactly. Obviously, the best scenario would be like if you want like this registered AI AC to behave the exact way you want it to fully take advantage of the stuff that it has, you would ideally be training it by also using that exact same build, because then it has like a much clearer reference point of, oh, it has these weapons, it has these extensions, this is how it is supposed to be used, because this is what the game's kind of recording as you play.
Yeah, the way I always abstracted it in my brain is that anytime, like after you've registered it as an AI, like it should be constantly doing genetic programming against a wide variety of things to work out theories on how it should be doing things, and then anytime you fight it, it basically puts its best guesses to the test. So you've got to fight it like 24 times, but it's running 24 million simulations, each one in between each one of those times, which is what gives it the ideas to test out. It's going to figure out this thing works for my situation and this one doesn't. So I don't necessarily care look too hard into what you should and shouldn't do there, simply because you can abstract it all to genetic algorithms anyway.
Yeah, but this is like an extra feature that you can do related to the AI is the AI arena. I'm not really going to be able to like load this up just because I haven't put together like all the different like things possible for this, but this is also like an extension of like a feature that we had like in Master of Arena, for instance, which was actually the first Armored Core game that allowed you to create custom AI. It was a lot less like it was a much different type of AI creation than this was, because it was essentially you had like a few sliders that you adjusted to basically determine key factors like what distance does it prefer, and like how often does it use its boosters, things like that. There was even a slider for like basically, I'm pretty sure it was a case of if you wanted to make it like a human plus AC, or have it be able to operate when it was overweight, you know? Like stuff if you wanted to make ACs that broke the rules, because obviously the game had the capacity to do that.
Right.
But here, it's like you can put together like ACs of your choosing, register them into into an arena ladder, and then proceed to like challenge them. So that's the part that like always kind of solidified for me that this was going for a similar thing like Master of Arena, where it was like FromSoft knew this series was like at their time their bread and butter, and that there was no reason not to keep making more of them. But there were at least some where when they were making them, they felt it has that feeling of, we're making this so it can last even in the chance that this series stops, you know? Design it like it's our last.
It did for about 20 years, for about 15 years, and now we're facing another one. So hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully it'll be good. But like that is still the way that I'm looking at it. Hopefully it will be good.
It's
we'll see.
I've seen that footage. I've seen people describe it. Annoyingly so, because it's people like VatiVidya and people that are like obviously Souls heads first.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'll save the rant for another time, especially if by the time the end of August rolls around and I play that and like my worst fears about it come to light.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. Because I don't know about it just yet, but like Armored Core was always kind of a weird game, like series of games to begin with. So taking a 15-year break, I think it's completely expected and totally legitimate if somebody just completely forgets how to make an Armored Core game in that time.
Yeah, well, Toshifumi Nabeshima did leave after Verdict Day. He went on to do Left Alive.
Yeah.
I imagine Kota Hoshino has either left or he has just been perpetually stuck in a broom closet all this time. I doubt he's going to be doing any sort of music for AC6, especially in the style that people would recognize. And then, of course, this game's producer, he's a Marvelous. They're making a new Daemon X Machina. That is infinitely easier for me to get excited for, because I know after that first game, they will make a goddamn for real mecha-ass mecha game. But that was Silent Line. I hope that was the best demonstration for this game, even with me fucking up on certain missions. Absolutely worth playing. Emulate it if you have to. Download a save from GameFAQs that has everything and transfer it to a virtual memory card if you need, especially if you want to mess around with all the parts, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot. Back of the box says like 428 total parts. That is like a huge fucking jump, like more than twice what was in the previous game. They went nuts with this one. But it was nice to have you back for this one, Coolguy.
Hey, appreciate you having me, brother.
Yeah. Next Armored Core that will appear on Year of the Mecha will be 3 weeks from now, actually. That will be Armored Core Nexus, a game that definitely has some interesting things to talk about. You know? Because we've basically seen what was at the time the peak of the franchise. Where do you go from there? A legitimate question that you'll see the answer to. Whether it's a good or bad one is up to you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. But at least until then, look forward to next week, because it'll be Zone of the Enders 2, and at which point I look forward to seeing how many subscribers I lose because I dare, because I have the gall to be actually critical of that game.
Yeah,
I say it with love, though. I say it only because I wish it could have things improved so that it would be worth the praise and the remembrance that it gets. Yeah, Hasio's right. It's a tough love. At least it's not the first Zone of the Enders. That is a game that, under no circumstances, would I call it anywhere close to good or okay. That is legit a bad game.
All right. I am gonna grab some food. I was unable to get lunch because of the crap I was telling you that led to the late start. So I'm gonna bounce. Appreciate you having me on, dude.
No problem. And everyone else, you all have a good rest of your weekend. Take care.
Game over.